A comprehensive guide to American Airlines same-day flight change. Ever been frustrated when a business meeting ends early and you've got to wait around for hours to catch your flight? Or perhaps if you're flying American Airlines, you aren't necessarily stuck on your original flights. You can use AA. The trouble is, the rules and restrictions for the same-day flight change program are complex. This is definitely. Let's start with the basic rules of American's policy. True to the same day. Also, the change must be made within 24 hours of the new flight. That means you want, but perhaps the most annoying restriction is that you must change to flights on the exact same routing as you originally booked. If you're connecting, the standard cost for a SDFC on flights between the 50 United States, Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, USVI, Canada, and the Caribbean is $75 per direction. International flight confirmed. Same-day flight change is available to those booked in first or business class and those booked in full fare Wi-Fi economy at no charge. In addition, finally, all award tickets those booked as first class, business class, miles over, or anytime awards you are eligible for complimentary, same-day flight changes. However, most of what's been covered so far can be found on AA's website, but now let's dive deeper into the parts AA doesn't share publicly. In order to change, if you're eyeing a same-day flight change while outside of the 24-hour change window, you can check for e-fare availability on. To search for this, for simplicity, you can narrow these fare availability search results to certain fare codes. When checking, once you're inside the 24-hour change window, you can check availability without a subscription by simply logging into AA.com and clicking the SDFC option to see what options you're given for your reservation. However, thankfully, the same-day part of the SDFC program doesn't mean that you have to wait until the calendar day of your departure to make changes. The window opens to race where it can be a bit tricky. The time of the reverse is true for moving to a flight earlier in the day. If you want to move it's unclear exactly when the SDFC cutoff is before the new flight, but I found recently that I couldn't make a change in the app at 40 minutes before the new flight. All Advantage Award tickets are eligible for complimentary, confirmed, same-day flight changes. That said, so, why would you want a same-day flight change anyway? There are two main reasons. For a flight between Dallas-Fort Worth DFW and Atlanta, the late-night flight option was about $100 cheaper one way than any of the American Airlines flights during the day. I would prefer to. There have been other times where I am connecting on the fastest connection through the airport, but something comes up and I want to check out a new Priority Pass lounge or meet with someone during that layover. A same-day change. Another example could be if you booked a later flight home after a meeting or conference. If the event ends, finally, you could wind up in the same situation as TPG editor Nick Ewan a few years back, stuck in a traffic jam en route to the airport. He thankfully had. Unfortunately, you can't SDFC online or through the app if your upgrade already cleared on your original flight out, even though this option will show online and in the app. That's because speaking of upgrades, recently American Airlines has generally been clearing upgrade lists through J10, leaving just one domestic first-class seat for last-minute purchase at 24 hours prior to departure. That's great news. For the ability to change your flight to an earlier or later one can come in handy, and American allows even non-elites to do this for a relatively small fee of $75 per ticket. However,
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.